If you want to thrive financially and you're serious about building generational wealth, then this video is for you. Hi, my name is Andrew Clark, and I am the founder of Expanding Wallet and a financial empowerment coach on a mission to teach skills for creating generational wealth. My own journey actually started at only 15 years old when I started to self-educate myself on personal finances and building wealth. And one of the first things that you really want to do when it comes to building wealth is to build a strong foundation for yourself, just like building a house. Think about it, if you build a house on a weak foundation, as soon as the first storm comes, it's going to wipe that house away. And so the same applies to finances. You want to build a strong foundation for yourself. Now, in terms of finances, you might be wondering, well, what does it mean to build a strong financial foundation? Well, your foundation when it comes to finances is your money, debt, and credit, okay? And so how you manage those three is going to determine how strong your foundation is. Let me break down why this is. In terms of your finances, one simple example is, let's just say that you're not great with managing money and you've been living paycheck to paycheck. Well, the first emergency is going to probably put you into some serious debt because you don't have any additional funds to fall back on, and so therefore you may have to turn to things like credit cards. Okay, so that's one simple example, and this can get you into a pitfall of credit card debt, and that can be hard to get out of. Now, another example with these three is you could want to buy an asset like a property, and let's say, like most people, you don't have enough money to fully buy that property outright, and so therefore you need to go to a bank or some other lender and get the rest of the money that you don't have. You need to borrow that money and get a mortgage. Well, one of the first things they're going to look at when you want to get a mortgage and get into debt, right? One of the three is they're going to look at your credit, okay? The third one, right? So money, debt, and credit. And if your credit isn't good enough, then you're not going to get the loan for the property, and therefore you're going to struggle to build wealth, especially through real estate. That's why how you manage your money, debt, and credit is going to determine how strong your financial foundation is, which is going to allow you to build wealth and buy assets like properties. And now I'm going to go a little deeper into each of these three. Let's start with money. Here's the key with money. Make sure that you're saving some of it, even if it just a little bit. And here's why. Just like studying or working out, your habits and level of discipline are what's going to get you results long term. And when it comes to finances, usually when you're starting your career out, you're not going to be making that much money. And so, and when I say not making that much money, not making that much as compared to where you will be later on in your career. And so if you start to develop the habits then, when your money's here, and you're starting to develop the habits of saving, it will be a lot easier as you start to increase your income. Now, there is something known as lifestyle inflation that you do got to watch out for. But again, this ability to start saving while you're not making that much money, it'll be instilled in you so that at least even when your income increases, you can kind of guard against some of that lifestyle inflation that'll happen. And I'll talk about a system that I created that'll actually help you with your finances. But first, I just wanted to also share a personal story. My mom actually came to the United States and started her life over here in her early 30s, making $4 an hour. Now, even at only $4 an hour, she was able to save money. Let me say that again. At only $4 an hour, she was able to save money. And that instilled in me the importance of saving money. And by saving that $4 per hour, some of that anyways, she was able to pay her way through school and eventually become a nurse and increase her income. But again, those habits were already there, so it became a lot easier to save money as the income increased as well, and to guard against lifestyle inflation. You might be asking the question, well, Andrew, I don't have good financial habits and I don't save money, so how do I start saving money? Well, the thing is that extraordinary results are usually based on great systems, okay? And so if you want to develop habits, you got to start using great systems. And that's something that I've developed, is what I call the financial empowerment toolkit. And it's something to really help manage all your finances, your key finances, including having a budget sheet, a special budget sheet in there as well. And so that's how you start to develop those habits and get good with that. You plug into a system that's going to keep you on track and, again, get you in those habits, and you just have to be disciplined enough to use that system. So that's something that I work heavily with my clients on. Now let's talk about managing your debt. Debt can be one of the scariest things for people out there. And even if you're saving money, guess what? If you have too much debt, you can actually be denied for a loan. Okay, one of the things that they look at, especially when it comes to getting a mortgage, is they look at your debt to income ratio. And that's really how much of your monthly income are you paying out towards debt payments. Okay, so if you got too much in student loans, too many credit cards, okay, these can all count against you, and also car payment. And so that's why you want to have a strategy for paying off your debt. Here's what I did that actually helped me to significantly pay off debt. 11 months after graduating from college, I actually purchased a duplex. This allowed me to live on one side and rent out the other side. Now, I had some student loan debt, and I took on some additional debt in order to renovate the duplex, which increased the rent that I could collect because it made the property more competitive with other properties out there that were renting for a higher price. And so by doing that, I now had more debt, okay? But I had a plan for it. I used the money that I collected in rent, and I actually used it to help me pay off the debt. As opposed to buying, fun items or even buying a new car, I actually waited to buy a new car until after I paid off the debt. And so that allowed me to then be pretty much debt-free only 2 years later, by the age of 26, and all I really had in debt was just that mortgage on the property. So student loan paid off, as well as money borrowed to renovate the property. So again, have a plan and a strategy to get yourself out of debt, and stick to the plan. Now let's talk about the foundational item that's usually most difficult for people, and that's credit. Now before I go into credit, if you're getting value from this video, make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe to this channel so you don't miss anything from Expanding Wallet. Credit is basically a measure of how well you manage debt. Wait, did he say debt? Yes, and this could be a little confusing and maybe even scary for you, because I just talked about how you need to focus on getting out of debt. And this is why credit is tricky, because it really kind of requires you to get into some form of debt to really build up a good credit score. And so this is where you might hear that a person who has good income and they pay things on time, but they just don't have a very good credit score, or a great credit score. This is really why, because they're not taking on debt. If you don't take on debt, the other way to build up your credit score is that piggyback off of someone else who goes into debt. And you can piggyback off of them if you are an authorized user on their credit card. That can be a little scary, especially if you don't know if they're really good with paying their credit card bill. So keep that in mind. So to me, I would say one of the best ways is really that you get good at managing your debt. And the key here is that you control the level of debt that you're in. There are some services out there that actually allow you to build up your credit score by paying things like your utility bills or even your rent, and that will help you to bypass this whole need of getting into debt. Now, some of these services are free and some of them cost a small monthly fee. I'll list some of these companies and services in the description below. Now, while those services might sound cool, I still think that one of the best ways to build your credit score up is really with a credit card. And one of the main reasons I say that is because one of the components of your credit score is known as credit utilization rate, which is directly tied to something like a credit card. And the credit utilization rate is really just saying that how much of your available limit, so credit card limit in this case, are you utilizing? Okay, that hence the name credit utilization rate. And so 165 points of your credit score is tied directly to that credit utilization rate. And so therefore, if you've got a credit card, that's going to help you to potentially build up your credit score if you have a good utilization rate. Now, with that being said, the flip side of credit cards is that they have very high interest rate. So you could be in a pickle if you're not paying the credit card off. And that's what I want to talk about next. One good thing with credit cards is that if you pay it off every month, basically whatever your statement balance is, you never pay a dime in interest. Okay. And so it's a great way then, you take on some debt, you pay it off every month, you never pay interest. Can't do that usually with a car loan unless you have a high credit score. Again, that's what you're trying to build. And so if you have a high credit score, you can go in and get special financing, and you can possibly get a car with 0% financing. And that's actually what I did once I had great credit. Got 0% financing. But again, this is a great place to start. But back to utilization rate. There is a negative side of that. If you get into too much credit card debt, your utilization rate will now work against you, and you'll actually be over leveraging yourself, meaning that you're borrowing too much on that credit card, and therefore your credit score will actually go down. So key with utilization is you want to keep that under 25%. So if you have a credit limit of $10,000, you do not want to put more than $2,500 on there. Now, to highlight the power of credit cards in building your credit, I wanted to just share what helped me to buy a property within only a year of graduating. It was really credit cards. I got my first credit card at 18 years old, and I would put, basically gas and groceries, just things I was going to spend on anyways on my credit card, and I would pay it off every month. And every month I would pay it off. So I never paid any money in interest, but I was getting in some form of debt, right? That money wasn't mine when I make that initial purchase, the credit card company, right? That was their money. And then I would pay it off every month. And so that allowed me to build up my credit score high enough to where I didn't need to then try to build it after I graduated from college. The history had already been built. And that's another key aspects to credit is there's a component of how long have you had a credit history, right? How long have you been using credit cards or having loans, right? So that's the aspect that is also key. And so if you graduate from college and now you want to get your first credit card, or now you want to really start building your credit, it's going to take some time. So, buying a house that quick might not happen for you. And as I mentioned earlier, it was after I actually paid off the student loan and debt I had borrowed for renovating the property that I went and bought a brand new car. And I was able to get that car at 0% financing because the credit score had gone up even higher. In the comments if you think using a credit card to build credit is a good idea or not. So to sum everything up, once you're managing your money, debt, and credit well, now you've got a good, strong foundation for building wealth. So the reason is that when you get good at managing those three, you're not going to be spending money on things you don't really need, like subscriptions you no longer use. And you're also not going to be paying interest to credit card companies because you're going to be paying those off every month. When you do need to get a loan, you're going to get some of the better rates out there. So when you add all this up, it's going to equate to you being able to save more money at the end of the day than someone who's not managing those well. And that extra money saved can then be used towards buying assets such as properties or stocks, whatever it may be, that's going to grow in value over time. And what I've found as a financial empowerment coach that really holds people back in building a strong financial foundation is that they lack three things. It's financial knowledge, strategies, and systems. As a financial empowerment coach, those are the things I help my clients with so that they can have a strong financial foundation for building generational wealth. If you want to learn more about what I do, feel free to follow me on Instagram and send me a message and let's talk. The link to my Instagram account is pinned in the comments below. And if you don't have Instagram or just want to schedule a quick call with me, I'll put the link to my calendar in the description. I'd love to talk about your financial goals. And I'll leave you with this. Never forget to learn all that you can, believe in yourself, and take actions that allow you to grow.